What's up, team? Welcome to Unfiltered with Dave Letele, and today we have Crispy Troy, otherwise known as the conductor. Oh man, this conversation left me speechless. Actually, one of the best conversations I've ever had with a guy who's been through so much. I mean, meth addiction, coming from a tough background, how he's overcome it. You know, we talk about rock bottoms. I mean, this guy's rock bottom was getting electrocuted twice.
Not once, but twice. So the first one, it killed me. The second strike, it brought me back to life.
So this conversation is all about how he's managed to rebuild his life, what that was like, what he's looking at doing now, everything he's been through and he's overcome. We dive quite deep into the inner critic that still exists there, you know, where he still doesn't think that he's worth it and he's trying to rebuild and trying to help others and this thing that's holding him back. So I really hope you enjoy this conversation, and when you do, please go to the description and find his Instagram handle and go tell him that it's possible and that he is worth it. Before we get started, Unfiltered with Dave Letele is proudly part of the Acast network and produced by the amazing team at Fanaticals. This episode is brought to you by my good friends, Trust Motors. Now, they're an amazing company that support everything we do in the community. I've known them for a long time, so if you're looking for a new car, trading in your car, whatever the case may be sure to support those who support the community. Trust Motors, how car buying should be. Troy, the conductor. What was your name going to be? What was the other option?
Wow, it was Mr. Crispy. That was the first name. So the conductor was from a friend of mine as well. Both of them were from friends.
Yeah.
Got a company as well called Crispy Avo. So, you know, that's sort of a bit of dark humour.
Yeah. It shows so much sense of humour is dark because I laughed so hard at it.
Well, hey.
You know, it's funny that your two mates gave you those names because the brown butterbean as a boxer came from my friend, Dave Higgins. The original one was from his brother called Black Butterbean, but it's not very PC, and I'm not black, so. But those are the names. So.
That's awesome.
So, brother, where did the names come from? Can you tell us about your story?
So the story originated from, I was on October 14th, 2011, I'd been electrocuted from 110,000 volt power lines.
Jeez.
And I got electrocuted not once, but twice. So the first one, it killed me. The second strike, it brought me back to life. The second one went through my chest and brought me back, but lit me up like a candle. So unfortunately, my father experienced the whole thing and seen the whole thing, and you know, we've talked about it maybe once or twice ever since that very day, but yeah, that's a long story short.
How did it happen? Give us the long story.
Well, I mean, it sort of originated back to what I think is important now, which is attitude. Attitude is highly important, and back in those days, my attitude was shit. It was a shit attitude coming from the gang culture type background. A lot of my friends and family are tied in with gangs or associated and affiliated. So the attitude and the lifestyle, the type of mentality that I had at those stages was very negative and very toxic, and self-care, self-love, self-worth. There's none of that at that time. So I think at those times when it actually happened, because at one stage I was so close to these lines that I could feel the energy of the power around me, the 110 kV line. And for people that are in power or electricity and they know how high voltage that is, it was stupid. It was absolutely stupid, but I was that invincible type and she'll be right as long as I don't touch them, and there was all that type of mentality behind it. So it was an attitude thing at that stage, and when it came time for the actual event to happen, I was nowhere near them. But the power jumped. So it jumped 4 meters, and because I was on the phone, it was raining. There's all these conductors, which is where the name the conductor came from, right? So the power jumped and went straight through my head and killed me instantly. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
So what were you doing? Were you just mucking around near these power lines or something?
No, I was picking avocados on a cherry picker. Yeah. So, you know, I was out in Matapihi, which is in Tauranga. And yeah, it was just typical everyday job that we would do. It was raining though. To be honest, it was that bad that we shouldn't have even been out there. But like I said, due to the attitude and the type of people we were, me and my father, and we just, we'll be right, just get on with it. We've done this heaps of times before, and we just get on with it, you know. And we got to a row of avocados, the trees themselves that had the power lines going through the trees themselves. So we're picking around them. All the avocados are around where the power lines were, so we're just picking around them. And looking back, a lot of stupidity in between, but that's just how it was back then, type of person I was.
Yeah, and just what is your background? I mean, where did you? It sounds similar to mine in terms of the gang background. What was it like growing up?
Yeah, I mean, it sort of led to that. I mean, I was driven by sports at a really young age. I was really, really naturally talented when it came to sports, athletics, rugby, soccer.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, just due to how the upbringing was with my parents splitting and me and my siblings separated for many years, it sort of really changed everything very quickly. And then 9 different schools in a matter of 5 years. It was just all over the show, so there was no focus, no direction. By the time I got to college, started hanging out with the cool kids and drugs and alcohol and hanging out with gang members. They were a lot older than me at that time, and it sort of led one thing to another really, and started getting hooked on meth and everything. So it was just that path all the way through till I was 22, which was in 2011, and that's when the event happened. So yeah.
How bad did you get on the meth? I mean,
it was highly addictive, days on end, and for long periods of time. I think it was about the beginning really of when it was really coming into the mainstream of it. And I was just hooked on it, and a lot of my friends and family, a lot of them committed suicide during those periods, those times, and unfortunately there's lots of friends and family that are still hooked on it to this day. Like, it's just all of that. So, it was a pretty dark road, but there were good times, don't get me wrong, but all in all, it was quite a toxic environment, situations, putting yourself in really crap situations and not proud of them,
Yeah, I mean, I've had friends that I've got a really good friend who's, he's now homeless. And it breaks my heart. And it's almost as if meth is his God. Like, he worships it. It can do no wrong. We tried and say to him, said, bro, can't you see how meth totally fucked your life up? And he'll get angry, he'll defend it. What a load of rubbish. Is that what it's like?
Yeah, personally for myself, it was to escape from the realities of my life at that stage. There was a lot of hurt, neglect, the family things, even friends committing suicide, being in we were in a fatal car crash about 3-4 years before that, where we all flew out 200k, and unfortunately one of my mates died from that, and we were lucky to not, but at those times we were heavily addicted to it as well. So I think what it was at those stages and those times was, it was just the escape, and because it gives you such a big dopamine hit, because that's what gym does. That's what, all the new things I'm doing now. But you have to do the work in order to get the hit, right? Where with meth, alcohol, all that's just instant. So I feel that that's the reason why people turn to it, because it's instant. Yeah. It's just like that. You don't even need to worry about having to do the work to get the reward. But the problem is with that is that then it's not just one hit, it takes 2, then 3, then next minute it consumes you.
Yeah, I've heard. I mean, I've never tried meth.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
But I've heard that it's never like the first hit, but you're always constantly chasing that first hit.
We call it chasing the dragon.
Yeah.
You chase that dragon, and you always. That's pretty much what it is. You're chasing that hit, that first hit, and unfortunately, it's like anything, right? It's even gym. It's even the positive things. You need to do it more and more and more to constantly, because it takes longer to get that satisfaction. In terms of gym, even, right?
Yeah.
You have to really go hard to get the same result as when you first started. If you're trying to get bigger or leaner or whatever it is. It does take a lot more work because at first it does give you instant results, but then you plateau.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it gets harder to get.
You do more.
Yes, and you have to do more. And the body's just, that's what it needs. It's the same with meth. It was no different. Alcohol, you could have 2 drinks and you get a hit straight away, but the more you drink, the more it takes to get that hit, and then, before you know it, you're just hooked on it, and then you can't live without it.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bad drinker. What's that saying? One's too many and 100's not enough. And once I drank, I would take anything.
Yeah.
It's just lucky whenever I was, there wasn't meth around. You know what I mean? Like I would snort anything, I'd take any pill, didn't care.
Yeah.
That was that. I mean, that's why I stopped drinking.
Yeah.
I had to make that choice.
The gateway.
Yeah. I mean, how did you stop?
The accident.
Is that so? I mean, we talk about rock bottom, but fuck, your rock bottom was getting electrocuted.
It was
twice.
Yeah. Wow. I was waking up 2 weeks later because I burnt for 2 weeks. From the inside out like a microwave. That's why all my skin is like how it is. And it's got the 7 layers here, and then you got none. So that's how you can see the difference in terms of the thickness of our skin. The 7 layers. So, and to be honest, the first thing I wanted to do when I woke up, because I knew I was in deep shit and I couldn't move. I couldn't walk or do nothing. I was paralyzed. So, the first thing I wanted to do was, of course. But I must admit, the first about 3 months beforehand, I completely changed. I left the whole lifestyle. I wanted to move up to Tauranga, change my ways, get back into rugby. It was 2011, so it was the World Cup then, right?
Yeah.
So that was the drive for me to, I want to get back into rugby. I feel I've still got it, and I was motivated, and so I started training. I got into some of the best shape of my life. I was fit, strong, physical. That's what actually got me through. It wasn't the fact that, I just sort of, I was lucky.
Yeah.
It was in the sense that it was because I was fit and strong. I was still young too, so that helped a lot. But I was using over 9,000 calories a day, 230 beats per minute. That's what they were saying for the first 3 days. That's why they were saying at that time that there was no way he was going to survive, and, you just have to come up and pay your final respects to him. So, I had everybody turn up to Middlemore at that time, and it was they said you could smell you from wards away. You could smell the burning flesh because I was just burning for like 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
So it's just like burning rotten flesh, and it's even my father, he can't really talk about what he's seen on the orchard, but the other workers that were there were saying that I was swelling up because I swelled up to 6 times my size. Looked like cooked meat apparently. It was just pulsating, like whole body, everything. Because I was conscious through it, right? But I couldn't see anything. So I could only just hear voices. I could hear my dad in tears, and that because my old man's your typical old fella, no tears, and you know how it is, that old school mentality, mindset. But once I heard him sort of breaking down, and that's when I knew that, I'm in deep shit here, because I just, my father never cries. I've never seen him cry in my life. So
I was just talking about that as well. It's a weird thing when your father, when he doesn't show that kind of emotion, and when you see it, it's a strange feeling, eh?
It is. Well, I couldn't see it. I could just hear it. So that was enough for me to know that what's happened. And then that's when he told me, like, son, you've just been electrocuted, son. Okay, just wait, it's okay. Because I was confused then, because I tried getting up. I was trying to move, and then that's when Dad was like, son, don't move, and I was like, what are you on about? I'm all good. He's like, you're not, son. And then I heard him breaking down, and that's when I knew. I was like, oh shit. And it was just, that's pretty much how it was. And so I had to sit there and just, because I couldn't see anything, right? It was just complete blackness at the blackout sort of scenario, but I could just hear voices then. But the guys that were there were telling me that I was just swelling up my whole body, and
How old are you now?
37.
Man, you've been, what a roller coaster.
It's been a little bit of a roller coaster. It's hey, we all got a journey though, right? We all got a story.
But I think there's always a reason, and it's like, I think with the roller coaster you've been through, I mean, you're here for a reason, bro. 1,000%.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll talk about the work that you wanted to do and all this sort of stuff. But how did you rebuild? What was that process?
I think a big part of it is my daughter. She came 3 years after the accident. You know, we were talking about suicide and stuff. For the first 10, 11 years of it, I just didn't want to even be here, even with her, you know. It was a mindset thing, which is why I believe attitude's important nowadays. It's just the only thing that kept me going was the fact that I didn't want her growing up without a father. So she's a miracle to begin with, right? And I shouldn't even be here. So daily for years, I just didn't even want to be here, especially for the first 5 to 10 of it, you know. Couldn't barely walk, couldn't talk, couldn't do nothing. So I had to...
So you're contemplating suicide daily?
Oh, fuck, every day, man. Like multiple times in an hour. Just, what am I even doing here? What's the fuck, you know? And literally, it was the only thing stopping me was that girl. It was the only thing. Like, I just pictured her like without her father, and you know, that's really what stopped me. Like every time. So I was very grateful to have her in that dark periods, you know, because it was pretty dark for a long period of time. And, you know, I was so independent. I'd do everything myself, literally everything. And from that to complete opposite, like just the basics, you know, couldn't change myself, couldn't do nothing for years.
How long did it take you to recover, like to be able to do everything normal again?
Well, I mean, like without pain,
Yeah.
3 to 4 years, easily, like even more. Yeah. I was trying to do like gym, everything every day, you know, just, I mean, you say this much, I couldn't even lift a 0.25 kg dumbbell with like this arm, you know, like the very early stages of the recovery. And I knew from that stage I was, shit, this is going to be long.
Yeah.
In the depression, you know, just going through all of that cycle, and it was just quite mentally it's just frustrating.
Yeah, I've spoken, you know, I remember speaking to this father, and he's wanting to start his health journey, stopping, starting. And I had that conversation a real hard conversation with him. I said, look, how many kids do you have? He told me, and I said, well, I want you to imagine what would they do when you die long before you're meant to? You know, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
You know, the wife you support, who's going to support her? Who's going to put food on the table? You know, so it's, sometimes you have to use that, eh?
Yeah, that's the encouragement for myself. That's half the reason why, you know, joining the group, it wasn't about obviously a weight loss journey. It was more about a mindset thing, you know. For me personally, I looked at it like we've all got our struggles, right? Whether it's losing weight, whether it's trying to regain confidence.
There's so much more to it, eh?
It is. It's all about attitude. That's my personal opinion, you know. I feel that attitude because I was on both ends of the spectrum. I had a shit attitude and I've got a decent attitude. Now, it can be far better, but the more I do these sort of things, the better it gets, and the more confident I get in myself to realize that, you know, I am trying to change my attitude as well as encouraging others to do the same. So, yeah, it's that's probably the hardest part is practicing what you preach, or you know, I'm trying to tell you, you know, attitude's everything, and here I am doing the complete opposite tomorrow or the next day or yesterday. You know, there's moments where, you know, and it's hard to maintain it and to keep it going.
I think it's like, you know, I think you've followed us and you've been a part of the group for a couple of years. I think it's just about being honest about it, eh? Yeah. You know, like, you know, I share all the tough times. Yeah. You know, like, cause someone said to me in the group the other day, oh, you know, it's good to see you just being real about it. And I said, well, that's the whole point of it. That's right. Just to share the good times and the bad. You know, especially because you're looking at, you know, you're wanting to get into this type of work. What are you looking at doing in the future?
I mean, you know, I want to do more presentations, obviously, health and safety awareness, even looking at maybe consultancy roles, I don't know. I'm still undecided yet. somewhere along those spectrums. But I also want to be a part of like youth programs, community programs, things like pretty much what you're doing, man. Like, you know, being involved in trying to, especially our youth, right?
Yeah.
You know, the youth is a big one for me personally because I was in that troubled youth scene, you know, getting expelled from college and then going through those. I never listened to any of them, to be honest, and I just carried on with my journey. But those sort of programs are important, I feel. And if I can even change one of those young fellas to follow their dreams, their passions of, you know, so many of them have got amazing talent.
Yeah.
Whether it's rugby, music, whatever it is, it's just, you just got to give them that confidence or, you know, that pathway to make them like really strive for it, you know, because it's a passion. Yeah, believe that they can do it. Yeah.
And what was you know, we were talking earlier that you know you're thinking about doing it, but you're seeing what, you know, the stuff that we go through. What's stopping you from just starting and getting into this?
Self-confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's the self-confidence of believing that I can do it. You know, I suppose I've been really reliant on people for so long in terms of, especially the last 13 years.
Yeah.
It's been, I've always had to rely on people to help me get to these situations, you know, walking again and all that sort of stuff. So I feel that because of my fears that I have within myself of rejection and, you know, not being good enough or whatever it is, that people will, you know, deny me from what I want to do. Yeah. And I've got amazing people around me. Yeah. You know, I've got an amazing support network around me. I already know this, but it's myself. I'm the prisoner in my own mind at the best of times. And, you know, I've got these mind maps. I've got everything. But it's like putting it into action is like, oh no, I don't want to do that. And it is. It's the fear of, well, I see what happens with yourself, man. You know, you do all of this progression and everyone jumps on board and then you might have something that makes you, you know, 5 steps back sometimes, you know, and it's like, oh, and emotionally it hurts.
Yeah, we were speaking about this earlier. I think that the hard thing with me and what we do is that I'm really outspoken about it all. You know, which I think you have to be. You know, I always say, what's the point of having a profile if you don't use it and give a voice to the voiceless? You know.
What do you mean by outspoken, though? I'm so trying.
Like you know, I'll often I'll advocate for what's going on in the community, what's not going on, how any government of the day is failing us, or any council of the day is failing us. You know, what they're not doing, and you know, the lack of support that community groups get. I think that's what makes it harder for us. But, I mean, you've got to do it. You know,
creates tension within community or government or whatever, right? Is that what you mean? Yeah, see, I think that's a little of where I am too, because if I got to a status like yourself, right, you're not going to be afraid to speak about issues because you got people that are going to support you. Yeah. You know, because they believe in it too, right? It's not just a single-minded thought.
Yeah. I think my advice to you is, like I say to everyone, don't overthink it. Bro, like you've been, fuck, man, you got electrocuted twice. You've been in this massive car accident. We got thrown 20 meters. You've overcome meth addiction. You've been through so much. Like, that there's a reason for you to be here. You know, and the purpose for you being here is to help others. 1,000%. And whether it's, you know, thousands of people, one person, it's all the same. Yeah. You know, BBM started by me helping one person. That's it. Wow. Helping a guy to lose some weight in a field in West Auckland. South Auckland, helping one lady in a driveway. That's how it all started. Wow. You know, and so don't overthink it, bro. You know, have the confidence in what you've been through and that no one else has been through. That's why you always have like I have confidence in my lived experience. And when we're talking to youth, you know, I was in prison yesterday speaking to some youth, and we run a youth program there, and these kids had played up. Someone there talking to them in their cells, and I was getting, man, fuck this place. Like, oh man. I was in a cell for 5 minutes sweating bricks. It was so hot, no airflow, smelled like shit. Yeah. And I said to the kid, you got to use this, what you're going through as your superpower to drive you to be better.
Yeah.
to drive you to be a success. And like all that stuff you've been through, just have confidence in it. You know, say, man, I've been through that. I can do this, no problem.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely keen to. I just love to cope up with what you're doing and how you're helping so many people, man. And I can just, it'd just be cool to be a part of, you know, just making a difference, because it is. It's pretty hard out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's very difficult out there, and for people that are going down the journeys of, you know, adversity really and overcoming, it's a mindset thing, I believe, as well. And
Yeah.
it is. It's not easy. It's very difficult.
100% a mindset thing. This, what we're doing in the prison is we're doing exercise, but the exercise is the hook. You know, that's how we get them in.
That's all right.
But it's everything else we're doing around that. It's all around mindset.
Yeah, it is.
You know, changing the way they think about things. You know,
Exactly.
but we do it when they're exercising because their guards are down. You know, so it's an awesome thing. And you look like you train a bit now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, a lot of that is to do with
Yeah.
the mental health, right? You know, like, you know, of course I'd love to be big, strong, powerful, everything. And, you know, and deep down I know I am, but, you know, the mind is something that I always have to keep challenging every day, because I hate to say it, it's saying the complete opposite. You know, it's like, nah, it's not good enough. You can do better, which is a gift and a curse, having that mindset, you know. But, you know, it's got me to where I am today with that same mentality, but at the same time, it's never good enough. So, you know, this is why I need to find the balance. And I think that's why I need to be a part of, you know, projects or people like yourselves or others that are going through things in order for me to realise that I'm actually, compared to where I was, you know, if you've seen it before and an after, right? And then you'd be like, wow, but, you know, my mind is, no, you can be better, you can do better, it's not good enough.
It's
So-
the inner critic.
Yeah, it's the inner critic, all right? Yeah, so that's what I'm still battling with, you know. That's why I want to do more presentations, keynote speaking, because the more that I do it, the more I realise, okay, it is actually making a difference. People are taking things on board. They are actually, you know, going home probably and applying certain things that, oh, I don't want to end up like that, you know, and that's what I really want.
Yeah.
You know, that's in a health and safety aspect, but in life in general, I think it's really, I'm just trying to get people to just be more appreciative of life, and, you know, especially in New Zealand, right? We got it handed to us, really, you know. We got the benefit of, we got food, water, shelter at pretty much a convenience. We got all of these things that we just take for granted.
So the inner critic we keep talking about, you've talked about it even before the accident. Where do you think that comes from?
The more I've been studying how the mind works and everything, I think it might have been from the parents, you know, the way that they were thinking about them, their upbringings. It sort of goes into generation to generation, right? So because that happened to them as they were younger, and then they're sort of applying that to their own, without even realising it, obviously. That's just the way it was, but that's what I'm starting to believe a lot more of. Like, I can't remember personally, but it would be just things like, oh, you can't do that, or, you know, it would just be certain things, you know. It might sound tiny, but because our subconscious brain is it can take in so much information.
Yeah.
I mean, before you know it, it can be just full of negativity and toxicity, and that's what I'm battling at the moment is that side of it, which is, you know, I'm trying to chuck in good stuff more and more, but it's like a catchy file, right? You got to delete, and it will never delete, but it will just at least get it in the background and keep the positive stuff in the forefront of your mind, as opposed to, you know, in the background, which is like, say, the survival, you know, all of these things that I'm not putting in the forefront. It's in the background. The forefront is all the negative stuff. You know, oh, I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that. Like, that's in the forefront.
Keep doing keep being around good people.
That's it.
Keep doing good shit.
It is.
You know, like keep doing cool things, training fucking hard.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I'm the same, bro. I go through, you know, pretty. You would never think it, but I go through a lot of depression, and a lot of the times I'm fucking unhappy. Like, so I don't know why. I've got so much to be happy about. Got a beautiful family, amazing wife. We got, you know, we're fucking doing well, helping a lot of people. But, you know, there's a lot of times I'm actually, a lot of the times of my life I'm actually not that happy.
Wow.
But I've just got to keep doing things that make me happy, you know, like training hard with my mates. I don't drink, but my going to the pub is training hard with my mates.
Yes.
Go and have a protein shake after, you know, have that fellowship, you know, be with my family, going, you know, doing stuff at the Mount, you know, like just keep trying to fill my cup that way.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and
that makes sense because I was going to ask, like, how do you overcome that? Because, I mean, that's where I'm sort of at.
Yeah.
You know, the crossroads of, see, I can't be around the drink because my issue is thoughts of grabbing one and then enjoying it. And then, so it's like self-discipline in a sense. But, yeah, that's what I'm finding difficult is still trying to be around that environment, not the environment of like bad people drinking, but it's just more the drinking itself. Because it's the habit.
Yeah.
I just know I'm an addictive personality, right?
Yeah.
And you got to try and transition the good, the negative addictions to the positive ones, because that's how you overcome them, right?
Yeah.
Replace one habit with another, and
my sister's. You may have seen her journey on the page, but you know she was a meth addict for years, and she's replaced that addiction with training. You know, so now she's just full on into her training and eating right and just really, you know. But it's that's what I do to overcome it, bro. You know, I just keep trying to. I mean, sometimes it's dark. I mean, it's fucking hard, bro. Like, you know, sometimes, you know, like you're saying, like, it just seems dark. And then it's like, you know, then the more you're in that mindset, then something else happens. You go, oh, fuck.
Exactly.
And then you just and then like you're driving, oh, fuck, I don't even want to be here.
Yep.
You know, but you've got to catch that, you know, and then you've got to fucking fill your head up with some positivity. That's why I train a lot. For that reason, because a lot of times I might be driving thinking bad things, you know. But so I just get to the gym and so all the guys I train with, they don't have much, so I pay for them to train, you know, their PT sessions, so they can train with me.
Yes.
Because I wanna train with them. I want to be around people that make me laugh and make me happy, and you know they're getting an awesome session too because we're all the same.
Exactly.
So that's, I think, a really important thing.
So what, you created that in order to keep yourself out of the thoughts of...
Yes.
Okay, so, yeah, that's a great thing. I suppose I'm just like, did you plan this all? Like, did you, obviously I can't, you know, afford it, whatever.
I didn't plan it. So, you know, before going to a personal trainer, we'd do it at BBM.
Yes.
You know, and just be, you know, I'd be training there every day. But then I sort of gotten into the weights. We don't have weights at our gym.
Yes.
So, you know, so that's what I've done. I just always knew that I liked being around, training hard with other people. And I guess it's from my league days too, doing all the pre-season, that camaraderie, you know, the fellowship,
that's right,
the jokes, you know,
it is,
and, you know, that's, you know, that bit, you know, so that's what, you know, that's what I do to overcome it.
I suppose I look at it too, like with me, especially with the Burns group that I have here in Auckland, and it's been really cool to, you know that you're making a difference because a lot of them are kids as well. We do a kids camp every year. I didn't go to this year's one, but the last 5 years I've been to them, and I do notice what you mean about that, you know, when you're around people that are on the same path and the same, you know, wanting to help the kids, you know, to feel normal for once, you know, and being around others that are the same, and it'll be the same with you guys, right? You know, at least everybody's working together and helping each other and supporting each other. And I feel that, you know, as you were talking about there, you're right. It's I need to do that more often, but my problem is I always put, you know, the financial struggles and the things that I'm going through personally, like personal struggles, in front of my happiness or my joys and the passions that I really want to do, but I can't because of this, you know. So, you know, it's like it's a shitty affirmation. I can't, you know. Well, you can, but you're always trying to find an excuse to not be able to do things like that because of time or money or whatever you want to put in front of you. So you're right. It's just getting it done, right?
You just got to do it, bro. Just like everything we've started in BBM, just say, I had an idea, so let's fucking do it. Like,
and look where
it
is.
Yeah, and, you know, even the cafe that we're doing, so we're going to open another cafe. You know, that started because the cafe started because I didn't want my food share team to have no work, to be gone as we've scaled down our food share. So, well, let's start at this cafe. I reckon we'll go right opposite the gym. They can go work there.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's just then, yep.
That's cool, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And be kind to yourself, brother.
All my friends tell me that, man, because I'm terrible with myself.
We did something here last week where I said, you know what? I'm fucking proud of myself. And like we never say it.
No.
But be kind to yourself, and now we're connected properly. But man, you're worth it. You're worth it, and you just got to keep going, and don't be in a rush. Too many people are in a rush to do things as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just take your time, help one person. You're already helping these people just by being here.
Yeah.
And just you got to take care of yourself. Can't help anyone if you're not taking care of yourself.
That's right.
So the big thing is money. When we started our boot camps, it was free. I was going, how can I keep it free when I'm not going to box? How can I still put food on the table? So these are all, the thoughts you're having is normal.
Yeah. It's the fear, right?
Yeah.
It's the fear of... But I mean, obviously, you're so passionate about it, right? That you were out there. See, this is where I find the issue with myself is going out there and... how would you call it? It's the fear of rejection.
Yeah,
obviously.
putting yourself out there.
Yeah, and go, hey guys, I'm looking at doing this and getting told no, and then because surely you got all the no's before you got the one yes, and then
we still get all the no's. We get fucking hard. Most of our funding applications get told no. But I think like what I said to our team, which is, it doesn't matter how big we get or, and this was years ago. I said, so long as our why, which is our people, is at the center of our hearts, we can never go wrong. And that's what you have to think. Like every decision I make is how will it affect our community? So that's if it affects them in a negative way, we won't do it. So it's just
so having a strong why.
Why.
Yeah.
My why when I started was getting my children back. I have all my kids back now. My why now is being an example for my family and being an example for our people.
Yes.
That's it. That's the why. That's the purpose. That's what keeps me going. So whenever I feel like, oh man, I'm going off track, I just go back to that. Go back to my why. What's my purpose? And it has to be really deep and meaningful. And so when times are tough for you, you can think of it. When you're down in that rut, you think of it. You write it up, put it on. I got the boys in the prison to put it up on there, and I went to the cells, and a couple of them had it up. Had a few things written in there. Why? So when times are tough, you go, oh, fuck, what am I doing? You can stare at it, and it will remind you why you have to get up. There's no fucking option.
Yeah, but I use my daughter for a lot of it, but it's getting to that stage where it's starting to wear out.
Yeah.
No sort of disrespect to her about that, but it's.
So you have to. It's a real deep thing you have to think of.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have to be your kids.
No.
And it can be multiple things. It has to be something that you can think of when times are tough that'll fucking get you up.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. No. Back on.
Sometimes, like it doesn't have to be deep and meaningful. Sometimes if you fuck, it's 4 a.m, I got to go train. I'm not thinking, oh God, I got to do it for my kids. I'm thinking, fuck, I'll just get me a nice coffee, have a nice porridge. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it doesn't have to be that. You just have to have multiple things that you can use to get you up.
Yeah, one of many, because I need many.
Yeah, man. You got to have that toolkit.
Fucking got there, right? Oh, that's not going to work today. Yep.
But I think, bro, we're going to stay connected.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
And I'll help you through it, brother.
Yeah.
What sort of bit of advice you give to someone going through some struggle? Whether it's addictions with meth, alcohol, or just, stuck in it. Like, I remember the moment for me clearly being on a bed I couldn't fit on, thinking, how did I fuck my life up so badly? Like the inner critic, you idiot, over and over, and just telling me to kill myself, And but I had to silence it. But what would you say to someone going through that?
I think it's just all about self-development and trying to figure out how to be a better version of yourself. Reach out to people, reach out to, communities or projects, people like yourselves that are out there wanting to help others, I suppose. Reaching out is the biggest thing.
Asking for help, it's so hard, eh?
It is. Yeah, reaching out is the hardest part. And it took, like I said, for the first 5 to 10 years, it took me forever to reach out properly. So I feel that reaching out is the first step. Once you reach out, surround yourself around good environment of people that are there to uplift you and not ones that bring you down. Figure it out. Figure out what your top 5 is, because your top 5 is vital.
Top 5 of the people you're around?
On the daily,
100%.
the information you take in. Let's say all of this has changed in the last couple of years especially. I've changed my environment, changed what goes into my head, the information, podcasts, whether it's, I do affirmations nowadays, meditation, drinking lots of water, going to the gym, or taking on new challenges. Like I play league now in the Masters for Whiti Tara and the Otaki. All of these things that I thought I'd never be able to achieve and do because of the limits that I had in my head at the time. I was like, oh no, my body wouldn't be able to handle it, or whatever excuse you want to use. It's pretty much no excuse, right?
No excuses.
That's right. So that's pretty much what it really is. But it starts with reaching out. That's probably the first thing that I would encourage people to do.
Man, it's so true around the company you keep. I remember hearing that, oh, what a load of rubbish. But geez, it's true. I say to people now, if you hang around with 5 idiots, what does that make you? Hey.
Well, just an average, but you're still an idiot.
Yeah, you're the 6th one. You are the 6th idiot.
Well, there we go, yeah.
But like you're saying, hang around with people that, that are on the same journey as you, that want you to be successful, that care for you, they're there for because they love you, not for anything that you can do for them.
Yes.
And not drag you down. Life's hard enough, without being people that are trying to drag you down all the time.
Then the problem is too, like, when you're in that gang culture, you love it because you got big groups of you, and and you feel like it's the best thing, but it's actually the worst thing because then you're taking in all their energy, all of their thoughts and mentality, and before you know it, you're stuck in it.
I'll tell you what, the other thing is it's all false, because when you go to jail, you'll be lucky if you'll be lucky if you still have your family. Yeah. So I try and tell these youth we're working with, I said, look, don't get sucked in, because it's so, this brotherhood thing. I never remember anyone coming to see if we're okay, see if we had food, see if our bills are paid. No one.
None.
And Manu was the same. Manu works for us, Manu Vatave
yes,
now.
Yes.
So, bro, who was around when you lost it all? And he said, hardly anyone.
Yeah.
It's a lonely place. When the party's over and the drinks are gone, so is everyone else. You can count on one hand how many people are there.
Yeah, and that is the goal. That's always the goal, is to just either be aware of the attitudes and change it and figure it out, or, like you say, get inspired by it and, oh, well, if he can do it, look what he's overcome, so can I. Because I do that a lot too.
Yeah.
I do that a lot. Comparing's not always the best thing to do, but sometimes you have to in order to, figure out, well, if he can do it, so can I. So,
what would you say to your younger self before the accident? What would you say to that young kid?
You should have stuck to your sports. You should have stuck to the things you were good at. Keep driving through all the adversity at that time, because during that moment I was quite hurt. I was quite an angry person coming into college and thought I knew it all, and I'd experienced a lot of life and already, and not listening to the people that were there to help me at that time to, hey, you got so much talent. You just need to stick to this. And I feel like I'm doing that to some of my family members and friends, kids and that as well nowadays. So, and they don't listen. So I sort of get it, if that was me as well.
Yeah.
The skill and the talent that I had at that time could have got me a long way. I must admit though, I don't regret it now because of my daughter and everything. But if I was able to replay it and still have the same results as I have currently, I would have stuck to my sports. I would have stuck to my athletics. I would have stuck to everything that I was good at, and I would have just solely focused on that, which is what I tell my daughter now. She's into hip-hop. She loves her dancing. She's really great at it. She's going to go a long way as long as she carries on with it.
Yeah,
and just zone in and stay focused and just be around people that are doing the same. And that's why it's environment again. And have a good attitude, honey, It's hard to say that to an 11-year-old though, but
you just got to stay with it. But I can see, I remember my sister saying to me, my late sister Vicky, she passed of cancer. This is long before we hadn't even started any boot camps. I hadn't even had my first boxing match yet.
Wow.
And I was thinking, man, I'm over being broke. I want to go back and do some stuff to make some money. And she said to me, Dave, I can see something coming from this fitness thing you're on. Just stay with it. I can see something coming. So that's really my message to you too, bro. She had no idea. Like, look where we are now.
Yeah,
there's something for you, bro. I can sense it. And you just gotta keep going.
Yeah. No excuses, right?
No excuses, bro. Thank you so much for joining me, bro, and sharing your story. So awesome. Love it, bro.
Awesome, right?
If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe and share this out far and wide. Before we go, I just want to say a massive thank you to my friends at Protect for Life, Mike, Tavita, and Kev. Huge supporters of the work we do here, not only with the podcast, but also in the community. They're an insurance company with a difference. Their why, just like ours, is serving the people. So be sure to go check them out, Protect for Life. Thank you, team.